Back in the 90s, the Bulls stood at the top of the world with the greatest player of all time at the helm. The success the Bulls achieved has stood the test of time and may never be replicated again, going 6 for 6 in the NBA Finals. But it was known that the Bulls' run on top wouldn't last forever. The 98-99 season marked the start of a new era. Phil Jackson was gone. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, over half the Bulls roster had departed from the team. Some were traded, some retired, and some just decided to leave on their own. With most of the championship pieces gone, GM Jerry Krause and the Bulls organization were fully committed to rebuilding and heading to a new decade with a promising squad. So how did it go? Well, it didn't go too well. Following the 1998 championship, the Bulls suffered their worst stretch of basketball in franchise history, winning only 30% of their games in a 6-year time span. Today, we'll be taking a deep dive into the rebuilding era of the Chicago Bulls. What events after the retirement of Michael Jordan led the franchise, were arguably the greatest team of all time, to becoming a franchise hovering in obscurity for several years? And what decisions led the Bulls franchise to finally putting themselves back in the playoff picture? This is the Collapse Chicago Bulls. Under new head coach Tim Floyd, the Bulls went 13-37 due to a lockout season. The only bright spot would be Tony Kukoc, who had his best scoring season of his career, averaging over 18 points per game. The rock bottom season would see the Bulls land the first and 16th pick in the 1999 NBA draft, which the Bulls would use to select Elton Brand, an elite power forward out of Duke, as well as Ron Artest. Brand today is known for his consistency on the Clippers during the 2000s, and Ron Artest? Well, we all know what he's known for. The 1999-2000 season made it seem as if the Bulls had got their franchise cornerstone. Elton Brand came out the gate averaging 20 and 10 and winning Rookie of the Year. Ron Artest also had a solid rookie season, earning him a mention on the NBA All-Rookie second team. This season would also see the departure of Tony Kukoc, as the Bulls had dealt him away to Philadelphia in a 3-team deal, which saw the Bulls receive a first-round draft pick along with John Starks and Bruce Bowen. In the 2000 NBA draft, the Bulls took some steps in the right direction, selecting Marcus Fizer 4th overall and trading for 8th overall pick Jamal Crawford. The summer of 2000 saw a multitude of high-caliber players on the potential move. Stars such as Tim Duncan, Grant Hill, Tracy McGrady, and Eddie Jones. Jerry Krause's goal was to recruit a pair of these high-value free agents to add to the rebuild. However, Duncan re-signed with San Antonio, Hill and McGrady both went to Orlando, and Jones signed with Charlotte. The 2 seasons following the 1998 championship took a toll on the image of the Bulls franchise and only ended up with the services of Brad Miller. The Bulls opened up the 2000-2001 season with the youngest roster in NBA history, with an average age of 23 years old. The team had a total of 7 rookies, which resulted in a 15-67 record in Coach Tim Floyd's 3rd season with the team. The offseason saw Bulls fans witness the abrupt end of an era before it even had a chance to begin. Despite the success of Brand, who was averaging 20 and 10 in back-to-back years, Krause decided to flip him on draft night for the chance to have 2 young top 5 picks in the 2001 draft. The Bulls traded Brand to the Los Angeles Clippers for number 2 overall pick Tyson Chandler and used their own pick at number 4 to take Eddie Curry. In one trade, the Bulls decided to restart again, this time with 2 teenagers running the show. In an interview, Jerry Krause would even say, "I thought Eddie and Tyson would work together beautifully. Tyson would be at the 4, Eddie at the 5. You would have been off and running for a long time. That's what I thought at the time. We got 2 of the best young big men. Here we go again." Well, even after the huge moves on draft day, the 0-02 season would see more losing. Head coach Tim Floyd would resign on Christmas Eve after a 4-21 start. Floyd would be replaced with Bill Cartwright. That season would also see the Bulls hold an egregious 18-game road losing streak. Management saw that changes were needed immediately, so on February 19, 2002, the Bulls would make their biggest move of the season, acquiring Jalen Rose, Travis Betts, and Norman Richardson from the Indiana Pacers for Brad Miller, Ron Artest, Ron Mercy, and Kevin Ollie. After the trade, the team went on to post their first 3-game winning streak in 2 years. The Bulls would finish the 01-02 season with a 21-61 record. For another year, the Bulls were headed back to the lottery. This year, the Bulls would take Jay Williams with the 2nd pick in the NBA draft. Jerry Krause had what many considered at the time to be a very successful offseason. Besides Williams, the Bulls also drafted Roger Mason Jr. and Lonnie Baxter. Danya Marshall also signed with the Bulls. Marshall was a forward who brought size and versatility to the team. With all these new pieces, It finally looked like a solid squad was beginning to form, so heading to the 02-03 season, there were moderate expectations. Jalen Rose was expected to have a big year in his first full season with the club. The addition of Jay Williams was expected to provide the team with an extra scoring punch, and the two teams' young big men, Tyson Chandler and Eddie Curry, each had a valuable year of pro experience under their belts. In the end though, having Rose, Marshall, and an abundance of talented youth did not equate to winning games. After starting the season 2-0 for the first time since 1997, Chicago garnered a franchise-worst 3-38 road record. At one point during the season, the Bulls held a 19-game road losing streak, and the team's 30-52 record sent the Bulls to their 5th consecutive NBA lottery appearance. The 02-03 season was another failed season. The disaster of the Bulls, added with health problems, would see Jerry Krause resign after 18 years with the franchise. He would be replaced by John Paxson, who served as an assistant coach during the 1996 season. With Jerry Krause gone, it marked the end of an era. The last remnants of the success the Bulls had achieved was gone. While Krause's later years with the Bulls largely painted him as the villain and the cause of the Bulls' downfall, he deserves some credit for helping build one of the best teams in sports history that featured an ideal supporting cast around basketball's greatest player in the 1990s. He was just unable to replicate anything close to that in the years that followed. But, moving on. Now that Krause was gone, John Paxson was at the helm, and his goal was to finally move the Bulls' ship in the direction of the playoffs. And he began making moves immediately. He drafted Kirk Heinrich with the 7th overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft to fill the void at the guard spot. This was due to Jay Williams, whose career was cut short after he suffered major injuries in a motorcycle accident. Later in the summer, the Bulls brought back Scottie Pippen, who was there to provide veteran experience in order to guide the young Bulls team. The 03-04 season was disappointing record-wise. The Bulls finished the season with a 23-59 record. However, major changes were made during the season that placed a bit of optimism in the Bulls' future and in their fans. Some of the moves included the firing of Bill Cartwright. After a 4-10 start, head coach Bill Cartwright was fired and replaced by Scott Skiles. Skiles was hired because the Bulls believed he could instill a tough, defensive-minded, and high-effort mentality upon his new team. The biggest move of the season was the Jalen Rose trades in early December of the season. The Bulls traded Lonnie Baxter, Danya Marshall, and Jalen Rose to Toronto for Antonio Davis, Chris Jeffries, and Jerome Williams. The Bulls believed this trade would address their lack of size, but in the end, none of the players traded contributed much to the Bulls. The 2004 offseason saw the Bulls get rid of Jamal Crawford, trading him along with Jerome Williams to New York in exchange for Otella Harrington, Dikembe Mutombo, Cesare Trubisky, and Frank Williams. The next season, everything would finally click together. The 04-05 season marked the first true successful season since 1998. This season saw the Bulls finish as the 4th seed with a 45-37 record, en route to their first playoff appearance in over 6 years. It started with a successful draft, in which the Bulls selected Ben Gordon with 3rd overall pick and traded for Luol Deng, who Phoenix had taken at the 7th spot. Ben Gordon was a guard that provided a great scoring punch, and Luol Deng provided much needed defense. Speaking of defense, the Bulls excelled on the defensive end that season, as they had the 2nd best defensive rating in the league. Even with all the changes made, at the beginning of the season, the Bulls looked like a disaster. They had an abysmal 0-9 start, however, they persisted. With great resilience and flashes of brilliance under Skiles, the Bulls managed to reach 500 several weeks before the All-Star break. Along the way, the Bulls compiled an improbable 13-3 record during the month of January. The catalyst? Kirk Heinrich and the team's 4 rookies, Deng, Duhon, Gordon, and Andres Nocioni. Gordon became the only rookie to be named 6th Man of the Year, while he and Deng also named to the NBA All-Rookie First Team. So, with the team's first playoff appearance in over half a decade, the Bulls would face off against the 5th-seeded Washington Wizards, led by the big three of Gilbert Arenas, Larry Hughes, and Antoine Jamison. The series began with Chicago winning both home games. Ben Gordon and Andres Nocioni combined for 55 points in Game 1, while Arenas would struggle with only 9 points. Game 2 would see Kirk Heinrich shot 34 points, surviving a near 40 bomb by Gilbert Arenas. The Wizards would come back and tie the series, as in Game 3, the Wizards won in comfortable fashion behind 32 points from Gilbert Arenas. And in Game 4, the Wizards nearly blew a 20-point lead, as Junior Pargo would erupt for 16 points in the 4th quarter, but it wasn't enough. So with the series tied, Game 5 would be pivotal for either team. In Game 5, the Wizards would go up by as much as 22 points in the 3rd quarter. It seemed as if the game was mostly over, but little by little, the Bulls continued to chip into the lead. So, it's the last minute of the game and the Bulls are still down by 10. Junior Pargo checks in, and with 41 seconds left, Parker hits a 3. 7-point game. Gilbert is fouled and he misses 1 or 2 free throws at the line. The Wizards have a comfortable 8-point lead with less than 30 seconds left. The game should be all but secured and Parker hits another 3. 5-point game. Bulls foul Antoine Jefferson and he misses both free throws. On the other end, Kirk Hinrich sinks in the triple and it's a 2-point game. Larry Hughes is fouled and the Wizards continue to choke at the free throw line as he goes 1 of 2. And with the Wizards being up by 3, they decide to foul Kirk Hinrich. At the line, Hinrich misses the first free throw. Now up by 3, all the Wizards need to do is secure rebound and close out the game. Hinrich misses the second free throw, but the ball ends up back in his hands and he dishes out to Junior Pargo. Tie game, 5 seconds remaining. With the Wizards having what it seems to be one of the biggest choke jobs ever, it was up to Gilbert Arenas to save the day. With 5 seconds remaining, he receives the ball, goes one-on-one with Hinrich, and hits an incredible game winner. Wizards win. And with a 3-2 lead, the Wizards close out the series, winning Game 6 by 2 on their home floor. Even with a first-round exit, the 04-05 season was a major success for the Bulls franchise. It was clear that the developing young core could be very dangerous in the future. Paxson and Skiles deserve lots of credit as well. They worked to develop a new culture, one which focused on teamwork, defense, and playing hard all the time. The next few seasons will see the Bulls front office continue to make moves and attempt to move the Bulls to the contender status. Some moves were solid, such as the trading of Eddie Curry, which saw the Bulls receive multiple picks as well as solid role players. Other moves were really bad. For example, the trading of LaMarcus Aldridge, as during the 2006 draft, the Bulls traded number 2 overall pick LaMarcus Aldridge to the Portland Trail Blazers for Tyrese Thomas. Let me remind you that LaMarcus Aldridge would go on to become a 7-time All-Star, and the Bulls gave him up for 2 players that averaged less than 10 points per game for their careers. Moving on, after 2005, the Bulls saw little to no playoff success. In 2006, they finished as a 7th seed with a 41-41 record and lost in the first round to the eventual champion Miami Heat. In 2007, they lost to Detroit in the second round, and in 2008, they would have missed the playoffs altogether. 3 seasons after their amazing run in 2005, it seemed as if the Bulls franchise had fell back into mediocrity. But missing the playoffs would be a blessing in disguise, as with a less than 2% chance the Bulls would win the 2008 lottery and receive the number 1 pick. And with that pick, the Bulls would draft Memphis point guard Derrick Rose. But that's a topic for another video. So folks, that will do it. This has been the collapse of the Chicago Bulls. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, or subscribe.